Hey everyone, if you're looking for motivation, perspective, and focus for being the best version of you today, I invite you to join my conversation with Anthony Trucks. Anthony was a very badly abused foster care kid who went on to become an NFL athlete and a millionaire business owner. And he has unlocked what he calls the dark work, and it helps businesses, corporations, and individuals just like you become the better version of themselves quickly. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Next Level Healing. I'm your host, Dr. Tara Perry, and my guest today is a remarkable man who went from being a routinely beaten and tortured foster care child to an NFL player, millionaire, and founder of the Dark Work brand. Welcome to Next Level Healing, Anthony Trucks.
Hey, thank you for having me.
When I first heard your story, I was so shocked and disappointed at how brutal the foster care system could be.
It's bad.
Hearing your story of your mom crying and taking 3 of your siblings and just kind of dropping you off into this system that was so devoid of any kind of care. Can you tell our listeners what that was like for you and what you endured?
It's tough because it's not the common story you hear. Like, or you hear about them, but we think that they're just, like all the stories, but it happens. And I don't know why. Some people just aren't meant to be foster parents, but it's a paycheck. So as long as we don't die, they get a paycheck for us being there. It's typically not spent on us foster kids. But yeah, I was like forced to chase chickens to earn meals and just randomly hit for no reason. I was put in shopping carts and pushed down hills towards moving traffic. I was forced to lick the bottom of people's shoes. It's like weird stuff. And I don't know why it was done. It's just people that have this sick desire to cause pain to somebody. At this point in my life, I've now understood that there's probably no real reason. I won't make sense of it. So I don't like that it happened, but I have an appreciation for who it made me, because I could have done one of two things. I could have said, here is all that happened to me, which is why I am how I am, in a negative. And no one would have faulted me. They'd have been like, yep, it makes sense. Or I could say, this all happened to me, which is why I did these things, which doesn't make sense, but in a good way. And so I endured a lot, but it was all something where in hindsight, I wouldn't change any of it.
There's a wonderful saying that I love. Everything that you're grateful for becomes your fuel, and everything that you're not grateful for becomes your baggage. Would you say that was something that you...
Pretty accurate. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I like that. It's one of those ones where I rarely hear people say things I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
I feel like I consume so much stuff. That's a good one, because it is true. And I did have a lot of baggage for a lot of years. For a lot of years, was mad at my mom, my biological father for never being present, or even I didn't know him until I was 21, the foster parents for what they did. It's a lot of stuff. And what happens is you can only give out what you have inside, and the world is a mirror to you. So when you have this stuff going on inside, then it comes out of you. It's negative, right? They say you can't squeeze a lime and get, orange juice. So what you have is what's going to come out. And whatever you give to the world reflects back to you in its actions. So when I was, sad and victim mentality and I didn't care and I was like me against the world, you do that, the world meets you in kind. But if you're able to work through that stuff, find a purpose for it and appreciation for it, well, now you have something good in you. And when you give the good out, the world comes back again in kind and gives you good. And so it's hard to get connected. You can hear it logically, but it does not mean it's easy emotionally.
And you made a really gutsy, bold choice when you were young to actually sever ties with your birth mom, who had dropped you from foster care center to foster care center, where you really endured horrible treatment. And then you were lucky enough to meet a woman who really did deeply care about you. Tell us what that was like, and how that how one person who really cares can really be a pivotal changing point in somebody's life.
Yeah. Well, for the foster care world, the hard thing is people don't grasp it. Most of the time, the kids don't realize the lack of capabilities of their parent. They just love their parent. So I didn't know my real mom, biological mom, wasn't the right fit for me. I just wanted to go there. And so I caused havoc in the house I was in. So I would be able to go back. Like, the logic was, if I'm so bad, they're going to go take me back to my mom. No, they take you to a world foster. So the logic is sound, but I'm a kid, And on top of that, because of the adults creating distrust that I knew, my mom, the social workers, these foster parents, you are, as a foster kid, very, very against adults. Like there's a lack of trust at your core. And so I did not let the family I was with love me. And that was a long time. And it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe about 14-ish, it was right around that window when I was like, man, these people, I've been with this family since I was 6 years old. So we're talking like 8 years. Like they're actually showing up every day and I'm not letting them love me. And eventually I realized what I wanted, I wasn't going to get from the person I wanted from, my biological mom, but what I was looking for was in front of me the whole time. So I kind of dropped this perspective of my real biological mom being this perfect person and go, no, she really is the reason I'm here and the reason all this has happened. And so I was able to open my heart to let this woman, Renee, love me. And in doing so, it opened the door to grander possibilities for my life. I got adopted after I severed parental rights from my biological mom. And I wouldn't say life all of a sudden, like it blew up and it was amazing, but it gave me a better opportunity for life to be amazing.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
And you talk about the dark work brand, and you had several dark work moments in your life that were pivotal. Yeah. Tell us about what you gained out of those moments, what you learned out of those moments, how those shifted you into a higher level of consciousness, and how you're teaching this to people now.
Yeah. So when I get to this point of being adopted, I then have this opportunity to go do something new, which for me was football. I'd never played. My classmates had all played, and I looked at them, and I was all enamored by how cool it looked to play the game. But I wasn't allowed to because my biological mom would never let it happen. But then I got adopted. I can go play. And I started this game and I was horrible at it. Like I got to the whole, the field and I couldn't tackle, I couldn't catch. I was horrible at the game. And my teammates were 5-6 years ahead of me. And so I'm kind of trying to catch up and I check out. And I'm like, I'm not going to be good at this. I've tried it 2 years. And now my freshman year of high school, I'm like, this is not going to work. And I had a moment where I was headed off to be a statistic. If you look at any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids. Half the homeless population spent time in foster care. So I'm not set up to do very well. And I was heading down that pathway, and then these two girls were talking in a class. It was an English class. They don't know I'm listening to them, but one girl says to the other girl, well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care. And it really wasn't a big deal, but it was. I didn't realize how important it was, but like it made me consider the fact that that's what I'd been saying to myself the whole time. The reason this has happened is because of foster care. And I go, I had no control over that. Why is something that I had no control over going to control my life forever? So this thought of like, I got to find out how to get out of this rut. And I wanted to be good at football. So I faced this kind of, insurmountable, idea of like, maybe I could be a great football player, but what would it take? And it took me doing things that were not in my current repertoire of things, right? I'd lift weights and run routes and eat food and do this stuff. None of my family are athletes. So I'm the weirdo and no one thinks I could do it. I also am not good, right? So nothing in my favor that should say, you might be good at football. But I tried and I leaned in, and this is where dark work came from, because the first, week of doing it, I sucked. And I should stop.
And how old were you at this point?
15.
Okay.
I was 15 years old. Yeah, I was like freshman to sophomore year this summer. And so I was like, I'm going to keep doing stuff. So I'm lifting more weights and running more routes, and I'm doing these things. And I'm getting teammates making fun of me. Trucks, you suck. What are you doing, dude? Get out of the field. You're skinny. Get out of the weight room. So you have this internal voice against you, and you have the external voices against you. And you have to make a choice. If I do this, I might be better. If I don't, I will not. So I just kept doing it. And lo and behold, little by little, month after month goes by and I get better and better. So the next year, I step on the football field and I'm a different animal. There was a mentality in me that if the ball was in the air, I was going to get the ball. If you had the ball, I'm going to tackle you. If I have it, you're not going to stop me. And what it really was at the end of the day was this mentality of I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. I know what I did. I know how I showed up when you didn't show up. You don't get to beat me today. You're not allowed to beat me. I've done way too much for you to take something that belongs to me. And so that mentality became the way that I showed up the next year as an animal. I got to start. I got moved up to varsity. A couple years later, I got a football scholarship, and the rest was somewhat history, we'll say. But what it was I had this different development of my internal identity because of the dark stuff I did. And so what I tell people is dark work is the work that you do in the dark that allows you to win in the light.
And just that's not an easy thing to do for 99.99% of people. So what was the magic formula? I mean, you listen to these women talking, and it sounds like you just decided that if I keep going down that road, I know where that leads, and that's unacceptable. Yeah. So I'm going to become a person that goes another path.
That's it. That was really what it is. People go, well, how come you gave that great effort without knowing you were going to be great? And I go, well, every person who's great gives great effort before they know they will be. Just the price of admission. And so, and honestly, it wasn't that people go, what did you believe was going to be better? And I go, I did not believe it'd be better. I believed, which I had believed, that if I didn't change anything, it would get worse. And that was it. And so my progression and pursuance of this was not this mentality of, I'm going to get a football scholarship. That was never a thought. Just so we're clear. When I started playing football and trying to work, it was never a thought. I was like, I just want to see how good I can get. It turned into something, but it wasn't the skill set. People assume that the skill set is the thing that I developed. And most people assume if I put the work in, the skill set is the thing that'll change, or the information. And I'm such a heavy proponent of, it's not what you know, it's who you are with what you know. If you give a baby a hammer, they're not building a house. But if you tell a man, build a house, he'll make a hammer, he'll build the house. Right? There's a different way that person is that creates the outcome. It's the personal standards, the habits, the perspective, the discipline, the optimism, pessimism. It's all there. And that's what I was developing as a kid. It was not the ability to catch a football and lift weights. That wasn't the thing that changed it. It was the fact that I was not going to let you beat me. That person had lesser skills, wasn't that fast, wasn't that strong, but who I was with what I had could outperform a person with more.
And you must have had, because I'd like to say it's rarely a straight line from where you are to where you want to go. There had to have been good days and bad days. What is it that you use to pick yourself up during the bad days? Or, perhaps, I'm sure you must have had some setbacks along the way that...
Always.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're talking about me at 15, and probably people are going like, Anthony, I'm not a 15-year-old kid. I know. I'm not anymore either. I've got 3 kids, a 20-year-old. I got 2, 16-year-olds here in August. I've almost gone bankrupt in business. I've lost my NFL career. I was divorced. I was suicidal. I've been now remarried to my ex-wife for almost 9 years. I have run the gamut of life. I've gone through some things, man. But I will say that I guess the way I look at life and the concepts we've gone through, it's like all these things are required, and you don't have this perfect path to get there, and no one knows what's going to happen. And the lessons I learned, the strengths I had, those came from just grinding through. I lost a piece of your question. Could you ask it again so I can make sure I answer the question properly too?
When you have setbacks, as we all do, what was the sort of North Star that got you to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and just keep on going? It sounds like you had an identity change when you were 15. You were going to be that guy that was unbeatable, and that you clung to that because the alternative was prison.
It damn near should have been. If I running the race I was running was going to be like that. And I'll tell you what, most folks, they think it's easy every day. Like the people that have driven, like for me now, I rock and roll. I just landed from an overseas trip yesterday, and I'm up here operating a full workday today from 8 o'clock till 4. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but that's just the way that I function. There's a human standard you set for yourself. There's a level at which when you do hard things, they go from being hard to do to hard not to do.
I'm guessing you're familiar with the term anti-fragile.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. So there's fragile, which is like a champagne glass. When none of us want to be that. There's strong like steel, but steel still breaks at some point. Yep. Anti-fragile, and there's a book written, I don't remember who the author is, but the more you rise to challenges, the more resilient you get. And it's the pressure in life that actually makes you stronger and allows you to grow. Because you think about it, if you go to the gym and you've got, 2-ounce weights, are you going to develop any muscles? No.
hit the push. It's the idea of eustress and adaptability. The brain does that. There's genetic stuff that releases like codes new proteins for your DNA to release. It is. That's 100% what it is. I've never heard of anti-fragile. I liked it. I'm going to research this. But yes, for me, it was a personal standard to where it got to the point where the things that I do, I had done so consistently against the grit and the grind of it that it was who I was to do it. And at this point, I'm not going to function below who I am. And so if I set my mind to something or I put something on the docket, it is not fun to do. I am just kicking off the second year. Last year, I started this whole, like, I want to get back in great shape again. And I'm in great shape. I lost 40 pounds. I gained back 20 properly with muscle and it's hard, like counting calories. And I just got done walking 10,000 steps and it's 2:30. So I go now. A year ago, this wasn't who I was. But what I did is I started something and I do not look at the destination. I don't look in the mirror and go, do I have abs yet? Am I strong yet? Almost none of that occurs in my mind on a daily. I go, did I get the thing done that I have to do that'll get me there in time? And I fall in love with that.
That's brilliant. Just what needs to be done today.
That's it. And then it's not this overbearing, stressful thing. You're thinking this insurmountable hill. It's really not. It's just, can you do the thing in that 20 minutes you're supposed to do? That'll get you to where you're supposed to be. Can you conform to it? And the people go, well, I don't have the habits. It's going to be hard to build those. Yeah, I'm not consistent like you. No. No one is consistent to begin with. They have to be given a stimuli to become consistent. So we all have a consistency and habits in place now. The problem is the outcome of those suck, or they're not what we want them to be. You just have to develop these new habits, and they will suck in the beginning, but after a while, it gets hard not to do it. It's your new person. You raise your new personal standard and operating procedure, and then you get the outcome that no one else seems to be able to get. And it's like, no, it's accessible to everybody who's willing to stop looking at the finish line the whole race and enjoy the steps you're taking every time.
That's so awesome. What a perspective. So, Anthony, you have done well in 3 completely separate areas. You know, you were a player with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's the NFL. You remarried the wife that you had divorced, and you renewed a healthy family with her. And you also have conquered the business world and created the Dark Horse brand. Which of those was the most challenging?
Family. The business thing is interesting because everybody can get good at business. It's not that impossible skill to learn. There's idiots that are successful in business. I know them. But the hard part is navigating all the stuff that's at home behind the scenes. Because if you want to be good in business, in my opinion, you've got to have a reason you're doing it. You have to be able to have people you're celebrating with, because if you celebrate alone, it sucks and it'll be lackluster. You'll fill the gap that what Viktor Frankl calls an existential vacuum with stuff that doesn't belong there. But for me, it's the ability to have a home that is peaceful, that fulfills me and gives me energy to go do the work I do, gives it purpose to do the work I do. And so for me, I would heavily say it's the marriage, because the marriage is the foundation of my home. And there's a lot we went through, like to be completely divorced. I don't mean like divorced and kind of like, it might work. I hated her. Like I did not like this woman at all. I was like, God, I wish I didn't have kids with her, all this stuff. When we divorced, she wouldn't change her last name, and it pissed me off. I'm like, change the name. Like that's for my future wife, So we went through a whole gamut of the completely divorced, and then now we're back together, and we're going to die together. It's one of these things where that for me is, and continues to be like the thing that is always a thing that makes me better. It's the iron sharpens iron. I grow, she grows, but that's the hardest. But it's also, for all of us, the thing that's the hardest is what you have most pride around. Like there's nothing that I have that I'm super proud of that came easy. Nothing. The business, the relationship, the body, everything we've looked at in our lives. Like if I asked you what you're proud of, I guarantee the thing you're most proud of does not have an easy sticker next to it. You didn't get it on discount. It wasn't a coupon. Like you fought for it. And I go, if that's the case, and we want that feeling, why do we shortcut? Like do the hard thing. It's worthwhile in so many ways.
I love what you just said. The thing that we're most proud of is the thing that we really stuck to and earned.
Every time.
So why not just stick to it and earn it in the first place rather than procrastinate. And
yeah. And the thing is, and you do it in the middle of those moments. The procrastination is always interesting. And I'm not going to say I never do. I'm a human being. But I do know how to be able to change my energetic state when needed. Like I got to go do some burpees or, slap myself in the face or just do some breath work. Like those little moments of 30 seconds or 2 minutes that are weird, they get me going. But here's what happens. Everybody's looking at it's tough that they do this, but the comparison thing is we do it every day. We look at somebody else's podcast, look at somebody else's business, look at somebody else's, it's always comparison. And I go, why is that person so much farther ahead than me? And we look at it like procrastination is the issue, or I can't do anything. And I go, you realize that most of the time the thing that somebody has, they just did the work when you didn't want to do it. That's really all it was. It wasn't they're better or more skilled. They just did the thing that you wouldn't do when they were supposed to do it. And what happens is if you look at a typical day, if I have a 6-hour workday and somebody else also has a 6-hour workday, but they only do 3 of the hours and I do 6, the first day is not noticeable. Second day, not so much. First week, not much. Not first month, no big deal. You start getting to month 3, 4, 5, it's big. By the end of the year, if you've operated like that every day, I have accomplished 2 years of work to year 1. You cannot catch me. And the more you can look at it as that mentality, and all it takes sometimes is 20 minutes. Like if you can do that, you stack these skills, these days, and it becomes what looks like instinctual to you. And that's the separator. So anybody could access the life they desire, but are they willing to do that thing in that 20 minutes, that hour a day that they don't want to do, that somebody else is willing to do? And if you do, then you'll have the thing. If you don't, then you can't complain about it.
it's pretty mind-blowing to think that Einstein, Beethoven, Mozart, all these greats, we all have the same number of hours in each and every day.
Everybody does. Everybody. I recently heard something about signal versus noise. And it was this idea that if you look at, say, Steve Jobs, he understood that there was going to be these signal movements, right? There's these things you have to do in a day. And given his, 12, 14 hour day he had, there may be 3 or 4 signal things. And so he's not looking at the week. He's like, this day, what of the 25 things, what 3 have to be done? And whatever those 3 were, he made sure they got done that day. And the difference is those are what's called the signal things. They move the needle for you. They signal, we'll call it success later. The rest of it is noise. And for a lot of us, we will put on our calendars these things that are a lot of noise. It's, the random things that just don't really need to be there, or they can be outsourced. So we go, only I can do it because I'm the best at that, or it's my company. No, if it isn't a signal action, and you don't have the thing as a needle mover, and the task that's supposed to get done for your business isn't getting done, you can be in noise for years and never do the thing that launches the podcast or, gets the coaching done or launches your business. You could be in noise all day, tweaking your business card and getting the website done. It's all noise. And so for a lot of folks, that's the separator. I think if we can get to the point of understanding that, embracing that, it's a game changer, because anybody who really can embrace that and live in that, it's inevitable you'll be successful. But again, most folks, they don't want to do it, even with the same amount of time in a day.
At what point in the day do you get that clarity about what those 3 things are? Do you do it before you go to bed at night? Is it in your first hour of the day? Where does that fit for you, the getting very clear about what the signal is for your day? 2 to 4
weeks out. It sounds funny. I operate a calendar that's different than most people. It's color-coded. I'm looking at it right now. It's all color-coded and pretty, but it's work. And here's how I do this. I've found there's certain things on a note that my team has that's like our master note of what I need to get done. And then what I look at is I go, what are these things do I want to do? And what do I not need to do? What can I explain in a quick Loom video or a voice note to give to somebody else? And I get the noise off my desk. It's somebody else's signal. It's my noise. And then what I do is I dive in and I will plug in the hours of the day as much as 4 to 6 weeks out where these pieces need to go. Because it's not, the thing is problematic. People don't realize that some days that the signal task, it's not 1 hour. It's 15 hours spread over 3 days. But if you show up to today and go, I got to get that done tomorrow, it's not going to get done tomorrow or this week. But if I plan it 3-4 weeks ago and it's on my calendar, then I just got to show up and get what's on my calendar done for the day. It also allows me to have less load in my mind. The other part is so many people are holding every project that has to be done in their head, It's not organized. It's not structured. It's not placed in a calendar. And so you show up to every time frame with not only that idea of a project that has to get done, but the weight of the unfinished projects in the background. So when I do it this way, I can stretch it all the way out and plug it in where it's supposed to be in the future. I just wake up and I don't have to waste mental energy on, oh, what of these 5 things should I do? There's just, things to do. It's already been thought through. So it's get up, headphones in, go to work.
And between keynote speeches, one-on-one coaching, what is on the front burner of your projects right now?
Right now, it's the dark work coaching for one-on-one separate from Anthony. It's like I do different things. I keynote, like you said, keynotes, coaching, workshops. But the actual system, the process of a dark work experience, it is codified. And I do not have to deliver it for someone to get an amazing result. And so for me, it's launching the aspect that is other coaches from our team coaching clients through my process. So that's the next thing up. There's a lot that's gone into getting this thing live. We're probably $250,000 deep over a couple of years to finally get it where it's at. And, apps and tech, so many random connections in place, but it functions. It's there now. And so that is the forefront piece for me. But at the same time, looking at my calendar, that's in the dark work brand. I have another brand that we run that's a 7-figure brand that I also, this whole entire week, it's 3 hours a day, 5 days doing a live training and then podcast and then coaching calls before and after. So it's pretty thick. And the other thing people don't pay attention to is like there's a certain amount of time your brain can stay focused in a day. And you've got to be mindful of what that is. If you put something on the calendar that's supposed to get done and your brain physically can't get it done, it messes things up. You have to move it around. So you have to, over time, learn your mental capacity. Like how many hours can you be focused and produce great work? And so you might have 8 hours in that day, but you might only have a good 3 to 4 hours of focus. It is much better to only do 3 to 4 things you can be dialed in for, knowing your brain's going to go kaput after that and move the other 4 hours to tomorrow than it is to shove them into the day, do them halfway, or get to the point of having the calendar be there, show up to that time and go, I can't do this. And now it doesn't get done and it's lingering. And so there's other pieces that like there's a little system here of understanding like what needs to get done, when it can be done, and can your brain do it on those days. So there's days like if I have filming, for example, I will absolutely not do anything that's filming on days where I have to do a lot of creative work. Because the filming portion for me takes a mental drag. It just does for my brain. And so I've tried to go filming and then create this. And by the time I get done filming, I want to sit and stare at a wall and do nothing. And so it's just not conducive to me being successful. But I know that now, so I can plan accordingly.
Is filming you teaching to the camera?
Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah. Gotcha. I'd like to hear about that moment when you went from hating your wife to rekindling things, committing to it, because it was your mental state that changed. You took ownership in that moment. Can you describe that for our listeners? Because that's huge.
The thing is, I don't know if it's time or maturity or you finally listen. I don't know. But for me, it was this thing where we went through something. Like it was a fair situation. Marriage fell apart. Like it was crazy. And it was her that stepped out. And so I had to navigate this internal concept of like, rule number 1, never take your ex back, And so there's like that whole dicey piece. I did involve friends and family in the kind of discussion of it. And they gave a blessing, it was kind of this weird thing. But a lot of it was me having to realize that all of us have work to do in all situations. Everything's a relationship situation. It could be us in this podcast and this intimate kind of setting here is a small relationship, right? There's my kids' relationship, friendships, my wife, they're all different. But each one of them is different work. And so understanding where your work is the big piece. The problem is if you don't take ownership of that work, not only do you not get the connection you want, but then you are the fault for the lack of what you desire that could have brought to you. And so I'm not saying in my marriage that this was the only thing, but I do know that for me, I had to come to the realization that part of us getting to a point where she felt she had to make a choice was me. I had to understand that for me, I had been part of this. And so in turn, you'd almost say part of my pain was self-inflicted. And it's not an easy thing for people to grasp, and it's usually not an easy thing to actually accept for yourself. But if something goes wrong in business, like even my team, my business now, when something goes wrong and I know it's a team member that they were in charge of that or didn't get done or got messed up, I immediately go, where did I possibly have a chance to mitigate this? Could I have double checked? Could I have, asked a question in advance? Could I have outlined something more clear? Now, I'm not saying every time I take full blame. Sometimes they make a mistake and it's on them to do that. But then to have the mistake not happen again, I do take an internal perspective and go, where can I be helpful in making it not happen again? Is it something that could be, engineered into a system to make sure it's eliminated? And I say to my same in my marriage, like if I didn't take a look and go, where did I drop the ball? I wouldn't have been able to mature in the way areas my marriage needed me to. I would have been the same guy in another situation, did the same things, would have had the same outcome. But because I took ownership, I with some of the pain came more power, a little bit of control. And I go, okay, cool. So this isn't an inevitability. This can be engineered out. I must operate differently. And it came with some self-reflection and perspective.
Was your wife surprised when you came back taking ownership of stuff you hadn't taken ownership of before?
Yeah. I mean, that's natural. The thing was, so the second time around, she pursued me. I didn't go back and try to get her. Like she had to kind of beat my door down. But I did realize that just because she's pursuing me doesn't mean I don't have work to do. That was the thing. Like, I think people expect in the situation we were in that she was supposed to come and, do all the work and I could just sit back and, have her feed me grapes. It's not how it works. It's still gonna be a marriage, right? So I go, where's my work in this though? So in doing so, I did. Yeah, I did feel like, okay, this is something that's good and she's pursuing me and I can, step in but there was gonna still be work. And there still is work that I have to do completely separate from all of those things. But in doing the work, it's made life great. It's one of the things, it's all these things we talk about. If you go back to the idea of it's hard, the hard thing is created the great stuff in life.
What was the biggest lesson that you learned when you went back and created a better marriage? What was your big learning?
I think every marriage is two people that are not the same person, obviously, that are trying to find a way to make the marriage work. And I think there's a twofold message here for me. One is the marriage is a completely separate entity, which means if I want the marriage to be happy, it might mean me producing or doing something that I don't really want to do, but the marriage requires it or needs it of me. That's the first piece of it. The second part of it, I think that was hard is, how do I explain? Like there's a level at which the marriage needs you to show up with. Fabulous has this great quote and he says, it's okay to lose your pride over someone you love, but don't lose someone you love over your pride. And so that for me was this thing where there are things that I would never do for anybody else on planet Earth, whether it was an ego thing or pride thing or how I feel, but for her, I will. And so the lesson I've learned in all this is like pride is, it's one of the 7 deadly sins, right? It doesn't serve you. And so for me to be proud, it's not to live with pride, but to be proud. And so when I am proud, it's proud of what I've created. I'm proud of a good marriage. If I want to be proud of a good marriage, it means I must have to at times swallow my pride and understand that I gotta own up to this. I gotta show up different. I gotta be different. I gotta learn, but also we're both consistently ebbing and flowing. I think marriage is two people where they're different, but one they're always rising, but one at some point rises faster than the other one, and it's noticeable. The other person wants to get in shape, and the other one doesn't. They want to eat well, and the other one doesn't. They want to go and do personal development, one doesn't. And it's how do I grow and then not force my spouse to grow, but make them desire to grow with me. And this year it might be me. Next year it might be her. And there's no telling when or where. My wife's a ball of crazy and she's just doing things and doing stuff. I'm a ball of crazy, right? And so as we both grow, there's stuff that stretches us. Like we're in this thing now where we are stretching and it's uncomfortable for both of us because our communication isn't what it used to be. It doesn't mean we don't talk to each other. We do. But the communication has changed. And I am honest. I believe it's because I am changing. And I'm not changing in a bad way. It's as I get to this, I'm over 40, I'm almost 42 this year. There's a way that we've been together since we were 16 years old. I think she perceives me a lot as the same 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old guy. It's just, this is Anthony. I've been with him forever. Like, yeah, it's whatever. And at a certain point in my life, I didn't deserve a certain level of respect, right? I didn't, I was just a dude running around, not taking care of my stuff and handling my business, meaning the business, the marriage, the kids, my body, everything cohesively. At this point in my life, I'm dialed. Like, I lead people in this, so I have to be personally dialed. And there's an interesting space where I've noticed that she addresses me as the younger guy in the way her tone is and how she communicates, passivity, passive aggressiveness, just little stuff, or just what she doesn't realize is disrespectful. I would never let another man or woman talk to me like this. So why are you doing this? And me not letting it go anymore is the thing. I used to let it go for a while, so no big deal. I'm at a point where I'm like, this is not going to continue to happen. You're going to have some level of respect that is going to like have some space of realizing this is not how I'm going to let you continue to talk to me. And it's not that she's mean or rude by any means, obviously, but there's just certain little things that come out. And so in that, it's stress for both of us because I know I am making her have to adapt to something she didn't expect to adapt to. It wasn't on her radar. And so when I'm pointing something out, it's like, again. And it's one of those things where I gotta then navigate that because that's disrespectful too, right? It's this back and forth. And so I go, I'm not one of our kids. That's not the way to address me. If you want me to do this thing, simply ask. Are you gonna do that? Like, that's not the way to approach me. And so these little things are hard, but I understand that we're not going anywhere. We're gonna be married forever. But at the same time, I have to give her grace to grow with me, and I have to point out what needs to be done. And she's not a mind reader, right? I got to say these words. She then has to choose to adapt to it because she's another human. I can't tell her, talk to me like this, and she's going to do it, right? It's not how marriage works. Like, no one's ever responded that way. But I'm in the space of realizing that's how it works. So at one point, I grow. I need to have her grow with me and then flip the whole script. There's times when she's in phenomenal shape and taking care of herself, and over a year ago, I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I just want to eat what I want to eat and work out when I want to work out. But in doing what she needed to do, she nudged me to go, I'm going to get in shape. And so I dialed in and I locked in. And so a year later, I pulled up to her. So that is marriage. It's the up, the down, the navigation. And I wouldn't change any of it.
What would you say the hallmarks are of a successful marriage?
Fighting properly. Fighting's inevitable. Can you fight properly? Can you do without malice, disdain? In between the fights, can you apologize if needed? Swallow your pride to have them see that. There's just this whole, I think that people talk about communication as being this thing, like it's a skill set to say words. Communication, I don't think is the words you say. It's conveyance of a message or concept and reception of a message or concept. And so for me, the thing I've learned, or I think is incredibly important, is like the ability to communicate something to somebody in the way that they need to hear it, the amount of times they need to hear it, and not getting to the point where it gets so frustrating that you're done with it, but realizing that we're both in this, we're locked in, and we go. And then if you do that, it's pretty good. But it's, that's the age-old thing is relationships and marriages, they don't communicate well, but we do. It's just a matter of learning how to do it as the person grows.
How are all these achievement tools when you're raising your kids? How does that mesh?
Not easily. My kids, they're different. Every kid is. And some hear it and listen to it and they lock in and do it. Some, they have to beat their head against the wall and learn their own way. I don't know why. It's stupid to me, but that's how it has to work. And so there are some of my kids they lock in and get it. And it's almost like it's their idea. They run with it. Some of the kids, they like to quietly rebel against the idea, even though they logically know it's the right thing because it wasn't their idea. Oh, dad's telling me to do it. They don't do it and they don't do what they want. And it's interesting is I try to get them at this age to understand the only thing I want is you to be successful in your area, not in my area. Whatever you've chosen, I want you to be great at that. But my job as dad's to show you what it requires to be great at that. So I live it in my own steps of life and how I show up every day personally. And then I talk about it. And it's one of those things where like parenting is not that hard if you live it and you operate with it. And so I think that's the harder part. The other part is just realizing you can say the words and some will get it and some won't, but you've done your job. I've said it. I've communicated it. If you get it, cool. But at one point it'll set in and they'll get it, but they're all different people. So, but yeah, all the principles I use from my work, it definitely is derived from my life.
Anthony, if you were to go back and talk to 6-year-old Anthony, the one that was locked in a chicken coop to catch his dinner and forced to lick the bottom of people's shoes and boots, which is unimaginable, what would you say to him?
That's a good question. That little guy, what would he have listened to? I think the honest, of all the things I could say, it would be that it's not your fault. Because that little guy assumed that he had been a bad kid and that he wasn't worthy, and that's why his mom didn't love him, and it's why these people didn't do what they did. He almost believed that was like what he deserved for something he couldn't figure out. So for that guy, like, it wasn't your fault. Like, this is just, people just suck. That's all I could say to him. I don't think that the little guy wouldn't understand much more, but it would have to simply be like, this is not your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids do think everything's their fault.
We do.
If you have a megaphone and the entire world is listening for a minute, what would you like to say to them?
Do the dark work. That's it. Do the stuff when no one's watching, so that they want to watch when the lights are on. But that's it. You got to do the stuff that you know to do. That it's not driven by the applause or driven by somebody saying good job, but it's purely driven by the fact that you are proud of you for having done it.
And that radiates, doesn't it?
It does, always.
Where are the best places for people to find you? If they wanted to reach out to work with you, where do they go? What do they look into?
Yeah. Darkwork.com or Anthony Trucks. If you go to Instagram.com/Anthony Trucks.
And how many events do you have coming up? Are you speaking to corporations? Are you
all over the place? I would have to look at my calendar, but I think July we have 2 or even 3. I don't know where they're at all the time.
Are those open to the public, or are they just for specific corporations?
Usually it's the corporation. I got one July 22nd, and then I think after that I got 3 in August. Yeah, I don't know. I just show up and do my thing. But they're usually closed off to the regular public. But if people are in the area, and I could always bring my team, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's so cool.
Little ways. We find little loopholes and make it happen.
Fantastic. You've been so inspiring. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Yeah,
anything else you'd like to say in closing?
No, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.
And folks, send us a comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode of Next Level Healing. This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions are expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.